On Tuesday, October 22, 2013, as the school day came to an end, Colleen was finishing up some arrangements. She left her classroom and spoke briefly with another teacher in the hallway before heading to the second-floor bathroom just before 3 p.m. That was the last time Colleen was seen, before she was reported missing. Colleen Elizabeth Ritzer was 24 years old, teaching 9th grade algebra, and had spent approximately 1 year at the school. Everyone described her as a positive and optimistic person, with a genuine passion for helping people. Her family was everything to her, and she had quickly proven popular among students thanks to her unique style and willingness to help any student facing academic difficulties. Meanwhile, 14-year-old student Philip Chisholm was missing. Philip was a quiet and reserved student who had recently moved to Danvers from Tennessee. At exactly 6:30 p.m., his mother, Diana Chisholm, filed an urgent missing person report, noting that she had never experienced such behavior from him before, and that she was concerned about his mental health due to the stress of her separation from her husband. Hours later, another teacher reported to the principal that Colleen Ritzer was also missing. Colleen's parents, Tom and Peggy, were expecting her to return home, but her father found her car in its parking spot and returned without seeing her. Teachers noticed that all of Colleen's belongings were missing from her classroom, and that Philip had been in her last class that day, making their simultaneous disappearance a strange and alarming coincidence. With growing concern, the Ritzer family officially reported Colleen missing to police at 11:20 p.m. Investigators tracked her cell phone, whose last known location was about a 24-minute walk from the school. Colleen's bag was also found empty in the surrounding area, and police found bloodstains in the women's bathroom on the second floor near her classroom. At 12:30 a.m., Philip Chisholm was located walking alone on Route 1 North in Topsfield. When the officer approached him, Philip appeared calm, but he was wearing shorts despite the cold and humid weather, and claimed he had no residence. The officer searched him and found a knife. Philip was taken to the police station, and upon searching his backpack, officers found a blood-stained box cutter, Colleen's credit cards and driver's license, and underwear that was later determined to belong to her. When Philip was asked about the source of blood on the box cutter, he calmly replied, "The girl." He told police she was in the woods and that it became irreversible, or that she was buried in the woods. Hours later, during Philip's interrogation at the Danvers police station, where he requested to speak with officers without his mother present, a horrific discovery was made. Colleen Ritzer's body was found near the school in the wooded area, where a forensic specialist found a toe with pink nail polish protruding from a small pile of leaves. Upon reviewing the school's surveillance cameras, Colleen was seen leaving the classroom heading to the second-floor bathroom. Seconds later, Philip Chisholm left the classroom. He stood hovering by the door, watching Ritzer as she entered the bathroom. He appeared to hesitate, but eventually pulled his hoodie over his eyes and followed her. As he walked, he put on white gloves, then entered the bathroom. After 11 minutes, Chisholm emerged from the bathroom, walking down the hallway carrying his gloves and another piece of clothing that suspiciously resembled Ritzer's black yoga pants. He left the building even though it was still during school hours. Later, he appeared on camera wearing a completely different set of clothes. School had ended, but his things were still in the classroom where he left them, so he quickly returned, took his backpack, and left. Seconds later, after placing his bag at the bottom of the stairs, he returned wearing a ski mask and red jacket. He needed to clean up the crime scene, but before he could get there, another student saw him heading toward the bathroom. Chisholm feared being discovered and fled. The student didn't know that Ritzer's body lay just feet away. When the hallway became empty, Chisholm returned to finish what he had started. He entered the bathroom with a large wheeled garbage container. After a few minutes, he emerged from the bathroom with the same container, now heavy enough that he struggled with it. He quietly left the school and crossed the parking lot, passing teachers who suspected nothing. 7 minutes later, the container appeared light again. He wheeled it back across the parking lot to its place. This time, his red jacket had disappeared. 24 minutes later, he returned inside the school barefoot with clear blood stains on his pants. He took a bag from his locker, changed his clothes, then checked the crime scene one last time before leaving the building. At 4:30, he left the building completely and went straight to the movie theater. He bought a ticket for a show starting at 4:30 p.m., then left around 6 o'clock, and used Colleen's credit card at a nearby Wendy's restaurant near the movie theater. Police later found both Philip's and Colleen's phones smashed, indicating that Philip destroyed Colleen's phone near the school, which is why the phone's last known location was there. The medical examiner said Colleen had been stabbed, 16 stab wounds to the neck, 3 of which hit major blood vessels, and strangled. He concluded that the cause of death was hybrid, combining strangulation and injuries from sharp force, and that Colleen was likely still alive when Philip dragged her to the woods and subjected her to brutal sexual assault, using an implement from the crime scene. This type of case was described as extremely rare. Philip Chisholm was arrested and charged with murder, aggravated rape, armed robbery, and pleaded not guilty. Under Massachusetts law, anyone aged 14 or older charged with murder is automatically tried as an adult. Philip Chisholm's trial began in 2015. His lawyers did not deny that he killed Colleen, but argued that the crime occurred during a psychotic episode and requested his acquittal by reason of insanity. Defense argument: Philip had been suffering from psychotic disorder since age 10, possibly early schizophrenia, with a family history of mental health problems. They pointed to his improved behavior after being given antipsychotic medication. Prosecution argument: Philip was not suffering from a mental illness or defect that prevented him from distinguishing right from wrong, but was planning and deliberate as he brought the ski mask, gloves, and box cutter that day, indicating that what happened was not a sudden psychotic break. A prosecution expert suggested the possibility of malingering severe illness. The judge decided to exclude Philip's confession to police as evidence because he was not interrogated in the presence of a lawyer, and the smashed phones were also excluded. While awaiting trial, Philip assaulted a youth services worker in 2014. He followed her to a changing room, strangled her, and tried to hit her with a pencil before other staff intervened. In April 2016, he pleaded guilty to charges of attempted murder, kidnapping, and assault, and received an additional sentence of 20 years in prison to run concurrent with his current sentence. After 10 hours of deliberation, the jury rejected the insanity defense and found Philip Chisholm guilty of murder, rape, and armed robbery. Philip was convicted of murder, rape, and armed robbery, but was not convicted on one additional charge, as the jurors believed Colleen was not alive at that moment, and Massachusetts law requires a living victim to convict someone of rape. Sentence: life in prison for murder, parole, eligible for consideration after 25 years, the maximum allowed for juveniles. But with other concurrent sentences, parole is practically not considered before approximately 40 years total. Concurrent sentences: 40 years and 1 day for rape, and a similar sentence for armed robbery. Philip will be placed in a juvenile detention facility until he turns 21, then transferred to state prison. The judge emphasized that this act was brutal and senseless, while adhering to constitutional restrictions on capital punishment for crimes committed by juveniles. Philip's mother expressed her grief, saying that no one has suffered more than the Ritzer family. Tom Ritzer, Colleen's father, said he couldn't protect her and felt sick knowing he had walked the same halls as her killer. Colleen's family established the Colleen Ritzer Memorial Scholarship in her honor, which has provided more than $370,000 in scholarships to 82 future teachers. The Kindness for Colleen campaign was also launched, encouraging random acts of kindness on October 22nd each year. This crime led to increased concerns among teachers in the United States. Schools raised security measures, stricter access controls, more video surveillance systems, and more regular lockdown drills, and teachers became more aware of warning signs and student behaviors. On February 25, 2025, the Massachusetts Supreme Court rejected Philip Chisholm's appeal and kept the sentence, as is Colleen's family remains determined to ensure he stays in prison, emphasizing that his actions were evil and planned and that he has shown no remorse. This was the case of Colleen Ritzer. Every life carries a story. Some end in pain, some in silence. This was one of them, but many more remain. Stay with us until the next story.